First contact fiasco. In the vast expanse of the Milky Way, the Galactic Confederation had long believed they were alone. That is, until their deep space probes detected an anomaly in a remote spiral arm, a planet teeming with life. But not just any life, intelligent life. The discovery sent shockwaves through the Confederation. After millennia of solitude, they had finally found another sentient species. The Galactic Council convened an emergency session. Representatives from 1,000 worlds gathered to debate the appropriate course of action. Some advocated for immediate contact, while others urged caution. In the end, curiosity won out over prudence. Admiral Zixnera, a respected Arcturian diplomat, was chosen to lead the first contact mission. Her iridescent scales shimmered with anticipation as she boarded the flagship of the Confederation fleet, the Starweaver. As they set course for the newly discovered planet, Earth, Zixnera couldn't help but wonder what strange creatures awaited them. The journey took several standard cycles, during which the crew of the Starweaver studied everything they could about Earth. They marveled at the planet's diverse ecosystems, from vast oceans to towering mountains. But it was the inhabitants that truly fascinated them. Bipedal creatures called humans who had achieved a remarkable level of technological advancement in a relatively short time. As the Starweaver entered Earth's solar system, Zixnera ordered the ship to broadcast a message of peace on all frequencies. They waited, hearts racing, for a response. Hours passed in tense silence before a reply came through. Unknown vessel, this is Earth Control. Please identify yourself and state your intentions. Zixnera took a deep breath and responded, her universal translator converting her melodic language into English. Greetings, people of Earth. We come in peace as representatives of the Galactic Confederation. We seek friendship and cultural exchange. There was a long pause before Earth Control responded. Welcome to Earth. Please maintain your current position while we consult with our world leaders. The crew of the Starweaver waited anxiously, their excitement palpable. This was the moment they had dreamed of for generations, first contact with an alien civilization. Finally, after what seemed like an eternity, Earth Control hailed them again. Starweaver, you are cleared to approach. Please follow the designated flight path to our orbital station. As they neared Earth, the crew marveled at the blue-green orb before them. Scattered across its surface were the twinkling lights of cities, a testament to human civilization. The Starweaver docked with the orbital station, and Zixnera prepared to make history. She led a small delegation through the airlock, her heart pounding with anticipation. On the other side, a group of humans waited to greet them. Zixnera's eyes widened as she took in their appearance, so different from any species in the Confederation, yet somehow familiar. A human stepped forward, extending a hand. Welcome to Earth. I'm Dr. Samantha Chen, head of the International Space Agency. Zixnera hesitated, unsure of the gesture's meaning. Dr. Chen smiled reassuringly. It's a handshake, a traditional Earth greeting. Cautiously, Zixnera extended her own hand, marveling at the warmth of human skin as they shook hands. Thank you for your hospitality, Dr. Chen. I am Admiral Zixnera of the Galactic Confederation. We are honored to make your acquaintance. The initial meeting went smoothly, with both sides exchanging pleasantries and basic information about their respective civilizations. The humans were eager to learn about the Confederation, peppered the aliens with questions about their technology, culture, and history. As the day wore on, Zixnera couldn't shake a growing sense of unease. The humans were far more curious and probing than any species she had encountered before. Their questions became increasingly pointed, particularly about Confederation defenses and military capabilities. Dr. Chen noticed Zixnera's discomfort and suggested they take a break. As they walked through the station, she attempted to put the Admiral at ease. I apologize if we seem overly inquisitive. We've dreamed of this moment for centuries, and there's so much we want to know. Zixnera nodded, trying to relax. Of course, it's natural to be curious. We too have many questions about your world. As they rounded a corner, they came face to face with a group of armed human soldiers. Dr. Chen's expression hardened. I'm sorry, Admiral, but we can't take any chances. You'll have to come with us. Zixnera's scales flared in alarm. What is the meaning of this? We came in peace. And we appreciate that, Dr. Chen replied, her voice cold. But the security of our planet comes first. We need to ensure you pose no threat. Before Zixnera could react, the soldiers surrounded her and her delegation. As they were led away, she realized with a sinking heart that their mission of peace had just become a diplomatic nightmare. Back on the Starweaver, the crew watched in horror as their comrades were taken captive. They immediately sent a distress signal to the Confederation, knowing that this act of aggression could have dire consequences for both civilizations. As the first day of contact drew to a close, both humans and aliens alike wondered, had they just made the greatest discovery in history, or ignited the spark that would lead to interstellar war? The stage was set for a conflict that would test the limits of both species' resolve, ingenuity, and capacity for understanding. Little did they know that this was only the beginning of a saga that would reshape the galaxy forever. The human specimen. Jack Harper, a former Marine turned deep-sea welder, had been working on an offshore oil rig when the aliens arrived. As the world's governments scrambled to respond to the crisis, Jack's rig was evacuated. But before he could reach the mainland, his transport helicopter was intercepted by a sleek, silver craft that seemed to defy the laws of physics. The next thing Jack knew, he was waking up in a sterile, white room that hummed with alien technology. As his vision cleared, he found himself face to face with a being that could only be described as otherworldly. "Greetings, human," the alien said, its voice a strange mix of clicks and whistles translated into English. "I am Dr. Zalforan of the Galactic Confederation. You are here as part of a scientific study." Jack tried to sit up, only to find himself restrained. "Study? What kind of study?" Dr. Zalforan's multifaceted eyes glimmered with what might have been excitement. "We seek to understand the remarkable resilience of your species. Your planet, what you call Earth, is classified as a death world by Confederation standards. The fact that intelligent life evolved there at all is unprecedented." Over the next few weeks, Jack was subjected to a battery of tests that pushed him to his limits. The aliens exposed him to extreme temperatures, gravitational forces, and even radiation levels that should have been lethal. To their astonishment, Jack not only survived but often recovered faster than their most optimistic projections. "Fascinating," Dr. Zalforan muttered as he reviewed the latest test results. "Your cellular regeneration rate is off the charts. And your ability to adapt to different environments. It's almost as if your body rewrites its own genetic code on the fly." Jack, lying on an examination table and trying to catch his breath after the latest ordeal, managed a wry smile. "Yeah, well, you should see what we can do with duct tape and WD-40. The alien tilted its head, clearly not understanding the reference. "Duct tape? WD-40? Are these some form of advanced human technology?" Jack couldn't help but laugh, wincing as his still healing ribs protested. "Something like that, Doc. Let's just say humans have a knack for making things work, even when they shouldn't." As the days turned into weeks, Jack began to form an unlikely bond with Dr. Zalforan. The alien scientist, initially cold and clinical, found himself fascinated not just by Jack's physical resilience, but by his mental fortitude and sense of humor in the face of adversity. One day, as Jack was recovering from a particularly grueling test involving exposure to a corrosive alien atmosphere, Dr. Zalforan approached him with an unusual request. "Jack, I need your help," the alien said, his voice uncharacteristically hesitant. Jack raised an eyebrow. "My help? With what?" Dr. Zalforan glanced nervously at the door before continuing. "What's happening here? These experiments, they're not sanctioned by the Confederation. A faction within our military believes that humans are too dangerous to be allowed into the galactic community. They want to sterilize your planet. Jack felt his blood run cold. Sterilize? You mean? Yes, Dr. Zalthorin nodded grimly. They plan to render Earth uninhabitable. But I can't let that happen. Your species, you're unlike anything we've ever encountered. The potential for scientific advancement, for a true exchange of knowledge and culture, it's too great to lose. Jack sat up, ignoring the protest of his aching muscles. What do you need me to do? We need to escape, the alien scientist said. I can get us to a ship, but navigating through Confederation space, avoiding patrols. I'm not trained for that. A slow grin spread across Jack's face. Well, Doc, you're in luck. Before I was a welder, I was a pilot. And if there's one thing humans are good at, it's improvising. Over the next few days, Jack and Dr. Zalthorin planned their daring escape. The alien provided Jack with a crash course in Confederation technology, while Jack shared his knowledge of guerrilla tactics and evasion techniques. Finally, the day of reckoning arrived. As alarms blared throughout the research station, Jack and Dr. Zalthorin made a mad dash for the hangar bay. Guards shouted and energy weapons sizzled past them. But Jack's combat training kicked in. He weaved and dodged, pulling the less agile alien along with him. They reached a small scout ship just as the hangar doors began to close. Jack leaped into the pilot's seat, his hands flying over the alien controls with surprising dexterity. Hang on, Doc, he shouted as the ship roared to life. This is gonna get bumpy. The scout ship shot out of the hangar like a bullet from a gun, narrowly squeezing through the closing doors. Behind them, larger ships began to give chase, but Jack's unconventional flying style kept them one step ahead. As they broke free of the research station's gravity well, Dr. Zalthorin looked at Jack with a mixture of awe and terror. How did you learn to fly like that so quickly? Jack flashed a roguish grin. Ever play video games, Doc? Turns out all those hours spent on flight simulators weren't wasted after all. As they set course for Earth, Jack knew that the real battle was just beginning. They had to warn humanity about the impending threat and somehow find a way to bridge the gap between two vastly different civilizations. But as he looked out at the star-studded expanse before them, Jack felt a surge of determination. Humans had faced impossible odds before and come out on top. This time would be no different. All right, Doc, he said, plotting a course through unfamiliar star systems. Let's go save the world. Galactic diplomacy gone wrong. As Jack Harper and Dr. Zalthorin raced towards Earth in their stolen scout ship, the situation on the blue planet was rapidly deteriorating. The initial optimism of first contact had given way to fear, suspicion, and mounting tensions. In the United Nations General Assembly, heated debates raged about how to respond to the alien threat. Some nations advocated for immediate military action, while others pleaded for caution and diplomacy. In the midst of this chaos, an unlikely figure emerged as humanity's voice of reason. Dr. Amelia Zhao, a brilliant xenobiologist and linguist, had been part of the team that made first contact with the Galactic Confederation. Now she found herself thrust into the role of Earth's de facto ambassador to the stars. We cannot afford to act rashly, Dr. Zhao argued before the assembly. Yes, mistakes were made on both sides, but escalating this conflict could lead to the destruction of our entire species. We need to open channels of communication, to understand each other before it's too late. Her words seemed to fall on deaf ears as military leaders from various nations presented their plans for planetary defense. The assembly hall buzzed with talks of weapon systems, space-based interceptors, and experimental technologies reverse-engineered from the scant alien data they had gathered. Meanwhile, in orbit around Earth, the Confederation fleet had grown from a single ship to an armée. Admiral Krovax, a hardline military leader, had taken command of the operation. His mandibles clicked with barely contained anger as he addressed his officers. "These humans have proven themselves to be unpredictable and dangerous," he growled. "They took our diplomats hostage, and now they prepare for war. We must act decisively to neutralize this threat before it spreads beyond their world." But not everyone in the Confederation agreed with this aggressive stance. Ambassador Lyrian, a member of a pacifist race known for their diplomatic skills, argued for restraint. "Admiral, we came here seeking new life and new civilizations." Lyrian's melodic voice rang out. "If we destroy humanity, we destroy any chance of learning from them, of growing as a galactic community. There must be another way." As tensions mounted on both sides, a glimmer of hope appeared on the horizon. Jack and Dr. Zalforan's stolen ship finally entered the solar system, broadcasting an urgent message on all frequencies. "This is Jack Harper, citizen of Earth, accompanied by Dr. Zalforan of the Galactic Confederation. We have critical information for both human and Confederation leadership. Please respond." Their arrival threw both camps into disarray. For the humans, the sight of one of their own working alongside an alien was shocking. For the Confederation, the escape of their test subject and a respected scientist was equally disturbing. After tense negotiations, it was agreed that Jack and Dr. Zalforan would be allowed to land at a neutral site, the International Space Station, which had been hastily converted into an impromptu diplomatic hub. As their ship docked with the station, Jack felt a mix of relief and apprehension. They had made it this far, but the real challenge was just beginning. How could they convince two vastly different civilizations, both poised on the brink of war, to step back and seek understanding? The airlock cycled open, and Jack found himself face to face with a diverse group of humans and aliens. Dr. Zhao stepped forward, her eyes filled with curiosity and cautious hope. "Welcome back to Earth, Mr. Harper," she said, and turned to the alien. "And greetings, Dr. Zalforan. I believe you have something important to tell us." Over the next few hours, Jack and Dr. Zalforan recounted their experiences, the unauthorized experiments, the plot to sterilize Earth, and their daring escape. As they spoke, the atmosphere in the room shifted from hostile suspicion to shocked disbelief. "This is outrageous," Admiral Krovax bellowed, his scales flushing with anger. "These are baseless accusations. The Confederation would never condone such actions." "With all due respect, Admiral," Dr. Zalforan replied calmly, "I have detailed records of every experiment, every conversation. The evidence is irrefutable." As the two sides argued, Dr. Zhao noticed Jack wincing and holding his side. "Mr. Harper, are you all right?" she asked, concerned. Jack tried to wave it off. "I'm fine, just a souvenir from one of the doc's more enthusiastic experiments." Dr. Zhao insisted on examining him, and what she found left her speechless. Jack's body showed signs of having endured conditions that should have been lethal many times over. Burns, radiation exposure, cellular damage, all in various stages of rapid healing. This is impossible," she muttered, looking from Jack to Dr. Zalforan. "How is he still alive?" The alien scientist's multifaceted eyes gleamed with excitement. "That, Dr. Zhao, is precisely the point. Humans are unlike anything we've encountered before. Your resilience, your adaptability, it's nothing short of miraculous. That's why some in the Confederation fear you. But it's also why I believe your species could be the key to a new era of galactic progress." As the implications of this sank in, a new voice joined the conversation. Ambassador Lyrian stepped forward, her luminescent form seeming to glow with an inner light. "Perhaps," she said softly, "we have been approaching this all wrong. Instead of fearing what we don't understand, we should embrace it. Humanity's unique attributes could complement our own strengths and weaknesses. Together, we could achieve things neither of our civilizations could alone." Her words seemed to resonate with both humans and aliens alike. For the first time since the disastrous first contact, there was a glimmer of hope for peaceful cooperation. But just as it seemed progress was being made, alarms began blaring throughout the station. A breathless technician burst into the room. "Multiple unknown vessels have just entered the solar system," he gasped. "They're not Confederation, and they're not ours. We're picking up energy signatures unlike anything we've ever seen." As the assembled leaders rushed to the observation deck, they were greeted by a chilling sight. A fleet of massive, obsidian ships was approaching Earth, their design so alien they seemed to defy the laws of physics. Admiral Krovax's mandibles clicked in shock. "Impossible. It can't be them. Not here." "Who?" Jack demanded. "Who are they?" The Admiral turned to face the assembled humans and aliens, his voice grave. "They are the reason the Confederation was formed, a scourge that nearly wiped out half the galaxy eons ago. We thought they were gone, but it seems they've returned." As the mysterious fleet drew ever closer to Earth, one thing became clear. Humanity's first steps into the galactic community were about to become a trial by fire. The question was, would Earth and the Confederation be able to set aside their differences in time to face this new, terrifying threat? The battle for Earth. The arrival of the mysterious alien fleet plunged Earth into chaos. Panic spread across the globe as news of the impending invasion reached the general population. Governments scrambled to implement emergency protocols, but the truth was, humanity had never faced a threat of this magnitude before. In orbit, aboard the hastily assembled Joint Command Center, human and Confederation leaders found themselves in the unprecedented position of having to work together or face annihilation. Admiral Krovax, his earlier hostility replaced by grim determination, addressed the assembled group. "The beings approaching us are known as the Void Collective. They are a hive mind that seeks to assimilate or destroy all other life forms. Eons ago, they nearly succeeded in wiping out all sentient life in the galaxy. It took the combined efforts of every spacefaring race to drive them back into the dark between galaxies." Jack Harper, still reeling from the revelations of the past few days, couldn't help but interrupt. "Wait, you're telling me that all this time there was an even bigger threat out there? And you didn't think to mention this when you first contacted us?" Dr. Zhao placed a calming hand on Jack's arm. "Mr. Harper, I don't think now is the time for recriminations. We need to focus on the threat at hand." Ambassador Lyrian nodded in agreement, her luminescent form pulsing with concern. "Dr. Zhao is correct. The Void Collective's return changes everything. We must pool our resources and knowledge if we hope to survive." As if on cue, the main view screen lit up with an incoming transmission. The image that appeared was unlike anything the humans had ever seen. It seemed to shift and writhe, a mass of darkness with pinpricks of light that might have been eyes or might have been stars. When it spoke, the voice resonated not just through the speakers, but seemed to echo inside their very minds. "Sentience of Earth and the Confederation, your time has come. Submit to assimilation or be eradicated. Resistance is futile." There was a moment of stunned silence before Jack let out a short, incredulous laugh. Did this cosmic horror just quote Star Trek at us? Admiral Krovax turned to Jack, confusion evident in his alien features. "Star Trek. Never mind." Jack shook his head. "Let's just say that humanity has a long history of telling invading aliens exactly where they can stick their assimilation plans." As the gravity of the situation sank in, an unlikely alliance began to form. Human military strategists huddled with Confederation tactical experts, pooling their knowledge and resources. Dr. Zhao and Dr. Zalthorin led a team of scientists in analyzing the Void Collective's technology, searching for any weakness they could exploit. Jack found himself working closely with a young Confederation pilot named Zarek. Despite their differences, they quickly discovered a shared love for pushing the limits of what their respective ships could do. "You know," Jack said as they ran combat simulations, "under different circumstances, I think our species could have been great friends." Zarek's mandibles clicked in what Jack had come to recognize as a smile. "Perhaps we still can be, Jack Harper. If we survive this, that is." As the Void Collective's fleet drew nearer, Earth's defenses were put to the ultimate test. Experimental weapons reverse-engineered from Confederation technology were hastily deployed. Confederation ships took up defensive positions alongside human vessels, forming a last line of defense around the blue planet. The battle, when it came, was unlike anything in human history. The sky lit up with energy weapons and explosions as ships from 3 different civilizations clashed in Earth's orbit. The Void Collective's technology was terrifyingly advanced, their ships seeming to phase in and out of reality itself. But the combined forces of humanity and the Confederation fought with desperate courage. Human pilots, with their unconventional tactics and seemingly reckless maneuvers, repeatedly caught the Void Collective off guard. Confederation ships provided covering fire with their superior energy weapons. On the ground, things were equally chaotic. Void Collective dropships managed to breach the orbital defenses, landing in major cities across the globe. Here, the true resilience of humanity shone through. Civilians took up arms alongside soldiers, fighting street by street to repel the invaders. In New York, a group of construction workers used their equipment to bring down a Void Collective walker. In Tokyo, hackers managed to disrupt the enemy's communication networks. In Lagos, a makeshift militia armed with nothing more than improvised weapons held off a Void assault for hours until reinforcements arrived. Back in orbit, Jack and Zarek led a daring raid on one of the Void Collective's command ships. Their small, agile craft weaved through the chaos of the battle, dodging energy beams and debris. "This is insane," Zarek shouted as Jack pulled off a particularly daring maneuver. "The gravitational forces alone should have torn us apart." Jack grinned, adrenaline pumping through his veins. "Welcome to the human school of flying, buddy. Rule number 1. If it looks stupid but it works, it's not stupid." Their mission was to deliver a payload developed by Dr. Zhao and Dr. Zalforan, a virus designed to disrupt the Void Collective's hive mind. It was a long shot, but at this point, it was the best hope they had. As they approached the command ship, they found their path blocked by swarms of smaller enemy craft. It seemed their luck had finally run out. But just as all hope seemed lost, a familiar voice crackled over their comm system. "Need a hand, boys." It was Admiral Krovax, leading a squadron of Confederation battleships in a daring charge. "We'll clear a path," the Admiral growled. "You two just focus on delivering that payload." What followed was a display of piloting skills that would be talked about for generations to come. Jack and Zarek's ship danced through the debris field created by the Confederation's assault, closing in on their target. At the last moment, a stray energy blast clipped their wing, sending them spinning out of control. Jack fought with the controls, trying to stabilize their craft. "We're not going to make it," Zarek shouted. Jack gritted his teeth. "Oh yes, we are." With a final, Herculean effort, he managed to right their ship, aiming it directly at the Void Collective command ship's docking bay. "Zarek, punch it." Their damaged ship streaked towards the opening, trailing smoke and debris. They hit the deck hard, skidding across the alien hangar bay before coming to a stop mere inches from the far wall. Battered but alive, Jack and Zarek stumbled out of their craft. Jack clutched the precious payload in his hands. "Come on," he gasped. "We got a galaxy to save." As they raced towards the ship's central core, fighting off void drones at every turn, the fate of 2 civilizations hung in the balance. The battle for Earth had reached its climax, and the next few moments would determine the future of not just humanity, but the entire galaxy. Humanity's triumph. The corridors of the Void Collective command ship pulsed with an otherworldly energy as Jack Harper and Zarek fought their way towards the central core. Every step was a battle, with swarms of void drones converging on them from all directions. "You know," Jack panted, firing his borrowed Confederation energy weapon at an approaching drone. "When I woke up this morning, I didn't expect to be saving the galaxy alongside an alien buddy." Zarek's mandibles clicked in what Jack now recognized as laughter. and I never thought I'd be relying on a human to preserve the future of the Confederation. Life is full of surprises, Jack Harper. As they neared the ship's core, the resistance grew fiercer. The Void Collective seemed to sense the threat to their hive mind and were throwing everything they had at the unlikely duo. "We're not going to make it," Zarek said, his voice tinged with despair as they took cover behind a twisted piece of alien machinery. "There are too many of them." Jack looked at his alien companion, then at the precious payload in his hands. In that moment, he made a decision that would change the course of galactic history. "You're right," he said, handing the virus capsule to Zarek. "We're not going to make it. But you are." Before Zarek could react, Jack leaped out from their cover, firing wildly at the approaching drones. "Go," he shouted. "I'll hold them off. Get that virus to the core." Zarek hesitated for a split second, his alien features contorted in what might have been anguish. Then, with a quick nod, he turned and sprinted towards the core, leaving Jack to face the horde alone. As he fought, Jack's mind flashed back to everything that had led him to this moment. The shock of first contact, the terrifying experiments, the unlikely friendships forged in the heat of battle. He thought of Earth, of humanity, of all they had achieved and all they could yet become. If this was to be his last stand, he would make it count. Meanwhile, on Earth and in orbit, the battle raged on. Human and Confederation forces fought side by side, their earlier mistrust forgotten in the face of a common enemy. Dr. Gio and Dr. Zalforan worked tirelessly in a makeshift lab, trying to find additional ways to combat the Void Collective. In cities around the world, humanity's indomitable spirit shone through. Ordinary people performed extraordinary feats of courage. From rescue workers braving void-infested areas to save civilians, to hackers working around the clock to disrupt enemy communications. Back on the Void command ship, Jack was on his last legs. Outnumbered and outgunned, he had been driven back to the entrance of the core chamber. His weapon was nearly depleted, and he was bleeding from multiple wounds. But still, he fought on. Just as it seemed all hope was lost, the ship shuddered violently. The drones attacking Jack suddenly froze, their movements becoming erratic. A high-pitched whine filled the air, rising in intensity until it was almost unbearable. Then, as suddenly as it had begun, it stopped. The drones collapsed, inert. Zarek emerged from the core chamber, his exoskeleton scorched and cracked, but his eyes shining with triumph. "It worked," he said, his voice filled with awe. The virus. It worked. Across the battlefield, the effect was immediate and dramatic. The Void Collective ships began to drift aimlessly, their fearsome weapons falling silent. On the ground, the invading forces collapsed, the hive mind that controlled them shattered. As news of the victory spread, cheers erupted from every corner of the Earth and across the Confederation fleet. Against all odds, they had done it. Humanity had faced its greatest threat and emerged victorious. In the days that followed, the full impact of what had transpired began to sink in. Humanity, in partnership with the Galactic Confederation, had defeated a threat that had terrorized the galaxy for eons. The implications were staggering. At a ceremony held at the United Nations headquarters in New York, now partially rebuilt after the invasion, representatives from Earth and the Confederation gathered to chart a new course for the future. Admiral Krovax, his earlier hostility replaced by grudging respect, addressed the assembly. "On behalf of the Galactic Confederation, I extend our deepest gratitude to the people of Earth. Your bravery, your resourcefulness, and your indomitable spirit have saved not just your world, but countless others across the galaxy." Dr. Zhao stepped forward, her eyes shining with excitement. "Today marks the beginning of a new era. The knowledge we've gained, the bonds we've forged, these will be the foundation of a brighter future for all our peoples." As the assembled dignitaries cheered, Jack found himself standing next to Zarek, both of them still bandaged from their wounds, but grinning from ear to ear, or in Zarek's case, mandible to mandible. "So," Jack said, "what happens now?" "Back to business as usual." Zarek shook his head. "I don't think anything will ever be usual again. Jack Harper, your species has changed everything. The Confederation will never be the same." Indeed, the impact of humanity's entrance onto the galactic stage was profound and far-reaching. Earth's unique history, its diversity of cultures and ideas, brought a fresh perspective to the Confederation. Human adaptability and ingenuity led to breakthroughs in various fields, from technology to medicine to the arts. But perhaps the most significant change was in how the various species of the galaxy viewed each other. The alliance forged in the heat of battle between humans and the Confederation proved that despite vast differences, cooperation was not only possible but essential for survival and progress. As Earth took its place as a full member of the Galactic Confederation, a new age of exploration and discovery dawned. Human ships, now equipped with advanced Confederation technology, set out to explore the far reaches of the galaxy, and wherever they went, they carried with them the qualities that had saved Earth: courage, creativity, and an unwavering determination to overcome any obstacle. The story of humanity's triumph over the Void Collective became legend, told and retold across countless worlds. But for those who had lived through it, like Jack Harper, it was more than just a tale of victory against impossible odds. It was a reminder of what could be achieved when different peoples came together, and of the incredible potential that lay within every sentient being, waiting to be unleashed. As Jack looked out at the stars from the observation deck of Earth's first intergalactic ship, he couldn't help but smile. The galaxy was vast and full of wonders, and humanity was just getting started. Whatever challenges lay ahead, he knew that they would face them the way they always had, with determination, ingenuity, and that uniquely human blend of courage and curiosity that had brought them to the stars. The future, it seemed, was looking bright indeed.